I thought I was losing my mind until I realized someone else was trying to control it. Started with little things. Subtle questions from my wife like, "Why did you move your laptop to the living room yesterday?" Or, "You spent 2 hours in your study last night. What were you doing that whole time?" Not in a jealous way. Not even suspicious. Just precise. Too precise. I brushed it off. Maybe she was just being curious. Maybe she was bored. But then my mother started doing the same thing. "I saw you skipped lunch today. You know you get migraines when you do that." Or, "You looked restless last night around 2 a.m. Couldn't sleep again." How the hell would she know that? It didn't click until one evening when I came home late from work. I was drained, my back was killing me, and I just wanted to shower. I went to my study first to check some emails, and when I powered on the monitor, the webcam light blinked. Just for a second. That shouldn't happen. I'm not tech savvy, but I know how my own PC behaves. The webcam only lights up when it's in use, and I hadn't opened anything that could trigger it. I stared at that little green light like it was a burning fuse. My gut twisted. My head buzzed. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I pulled apart my own computer. Took off the back panel, checked the USB connections, inspected the ports. Everything looked normal except one extra wire running behind my desk, tucked neatly along the corner of the wall. A wire I didn't install. I followed it. And that's when I found the first camera, hidden in a tiny smoke detector above my bookshelf, pointed straight at my chair. I froze. My throat tightened. My heart punched my ribs like it wanted out. I didn't say a word to my wife that night. I didn't confront anyone. Instead, I waited until she left to pick up groceries the next afternoon, then did a full sweep of the house. I found 4 more hidden cameras. One in the corner of our bedroom mirror, one inside a wall clock in the kitchen, one behind the TV in the living room, and another. This one chilled me to the bone in the ceiling vent of our bedroom. They saw everything. I wanted to scream. To smash them. But more than anything, I wanted to understand why. That night, I sat down at the dinner table and calmly asked my wife, "Is there anything you need to tell me?" She looked up from her plate and said, "About what?" I asked again, this time more direct. "Why are there hidden cameras in our house?" Her fork clattered. She didn't answer. But her eyes did. Wide-cornered, guilty. "You found them," she whispered. "Yes. And I want to know who else is watching me." She blinked hard like she was trying to find the right script. Then she said, "Your mom helped me set them up." That's when everything snapped. My wife called my mother right there, put her on speakerphone. My mother didn't deny it. In fact, she sounded relieved. "We were worried about you," my mom said. "You've been acting distant, forgetting things, spending too much time alone. We just wanted to make sure you were okay." I could barely form words. "So you decided to watch me? Around the clock? Without telling me?" "It's not like that," my wife said quickly. "We didn't watch you all the time. Just when we were worried. That's love. That's protection. No, that's violation." They tried to spin it, say they did it out of care, out of fear I might hurt myself. My mother even brought up my anxiety from 2 years ago, twisting it into a reason to monitor me like a zoo animal. But I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't even depressed. I was just introverted, quiet, private. And now my privacy was gone. I didn't fight. I didn't argue. That night, I waited until both of them were asleep. At 2:43 a.m., I packed a bag, left my phone behind, and walked out the door. I haven't spoken to them since. It's been 11 days. I'm writing this from a friend's guest room, using a burner laptop I bought with cash. They've emailed, texted, called every friend I have. My mother even tried to contact my boss. They think I'm unstable, dangerous, a victim of paranoia. But I've never felt saner or freer. And the worst part? I keep wondering what else they saw, what else they think they had the right to know. The cameras are still there, watching an empty house. But I'm not coming back. I didn't plan to stay gone this long. First, it was just going to be a weekend. A couple of days to clear my head, let the silence breathe. But the longer I stayed away, the harder it was to imagine going back. I turned off all GPS, deleted every app that could be traced. I even ditched my smartwatch because hell, who knows? Maybe that had a mic too. The friend I'm staying with, Josh, has been incredible. We haven't been close in years, but when I showed up at his place at 3:15 in the morning with nothing but a backpack and eyes full of regret, he opened the door without a word. "Didn't think I'd see you like this," he said, leading me in. "I didn't think I'd be like this," I replied. I didn't tell him everything at first, just enough to explain why I needed a place to crash. But on the third day I broke down. I told him about the cameras, about the conversation with my wife and mother, and about how it felt like my whole life had been quietly hijacked. Josh leaned back on the couch, arms crossed, and said one sentence I'll never forget. "Man, that's not care. That's surveillance," with a smile. We laughed bitterly, but it hit hard, because he was right. I started journaling everything. Every conversation I remembered that suddenly took on a new, twisted meaning. Every argument where they already seemed to know what I was going to say. The random times they coincidentally call me while I was pacing alone in my office. My whole life was data, and I was the only one who didn't have access to it. Then, 5 days in, something happened. Josh came into the living room with his phone in his hand and an odd look on his face. "Hey broa, this is gonna sound nuts, but your wife just posted a video on Facebook. It's getting shared like crazy." My stomach turned. "A video?" "Yeah," he said slowly. "It's about you." I took the phone from him with shaking hands and tapped the screen. It was a selfie-style video. My wife, looking disheveled, sitting in our kitchen, the one with the hidden clock cam I ripped out. She was crying. Not bawling, but the controlled kind of crying that seems perfectly timed for social media. "I don't know where my husband is," she said, voice shaking. "He's been gone for almost a week. He didn't leave a note. He left his phone. We're all so worried." She sniffled, dabbed her eyes with a napkin. "Yes, it's true, installed cameras, but only because we love him. He's been distant. Not himself. We thought maybe he was hiding something. Maybe even from himself." She paused dramatically. "I just want you to come home, love. Please. We can talk this through. You don't have to be alone." The video cut off there. Below it, thousands of likes. Comments full of sympathy. "She's so strong. Men don't realize how much they're loved. Come home, bro. This is a good woman." I almost laughed. Then I almost vomited. "She's making you look like the bad guy," Josh muttered. Classic PR move. Sympathy bait. But what hit me the hardest wasn't the manipulation, it was the fact that she knew exactly how to win people over. She knew how to look like the hurt wife. She knew how to take back control of the narrative. And for a seconda, terrifying secondi, almost believed her. That night, I wrote a long letter to myself. A reminder. Not to forget. Not to fall for guilt disguised as love. Because I realized something. What they did to me wasn't just creepy. It was emotional colonization. They moved into my inner world without asking. Planted surveillance into the soil of my sanity. And now they wanted me to feel bad for reacting. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Josh knocked on my door the next morning with an envelope in his hand. "This came to my address," he said. "No return label. Just your name." I stared at it. My name was written in handwriting I didn't recognize. I opened it carefully. Inside was a single photo. Of me. Sleeping. Clearly recent. Same pajamas. Same scar on my temple from when I tripped last month. I flipped it over. One sentence on the back. "You're not as far away as you think." My breath caught. My pulse screamed. Josh saw my face and immediately grabbed the photo. "What the hell is this?" "I don't know," I whispered. "Unless." Suddenly it hit me like a lightning bolt to the chest. The cameras. The system had remote access. Maybe not just for my wife and mother. What if someone else had been watching? Maybe someone helped them install the system. Third party. Technician. A stranger with the keys to my entire life. I ran to the laptop, opened my encrypted email, and searched through every account linked to my house's smart system. It took hours digging through old passwords, deleted folders, even backup drives I had left untouched for years. And then I saw it. A name I didn't recognize. Derek Lang. He was listed as a secondary admin on the home camera system. Not my wife. Not my mom. A third user. With access logs. IP pings from out of state. Josh sat next to me as I explained. You think someone else has been watching this whole time? I don't think. I know. And that's when the full weight of it hit me. This wasn't just betrayal. It was abuse. And maybe even a crime. I opened a new document and started writing down every detail, timestamp, and traceable link. Not just for myself but in case I needed a lawyer. Or a restraining order. Or a FBI agent. Josh leaned in and said, "You need to go public." But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I needed more. Evidence. Motive. Truth. Because now it wasn't just about walking away. It was about burning the whole surveillance web to the ground. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I kept staring at the photo of myself sleeping not just because it was creepy as hell, but because of what it implied. Whoever sent that photo had been close. Inside. Recently. That meant the house wasn't just being watched, it was being entered. I stared at the name Derek Lang. I didn't know a Derek Lang. I searched my memory, flipping through mental images of every repairman, delivery guy, IT specialist that had ever stepped into my house. Nothing. Josh helped me dig. We found an old invoice buried in my wife's email trash folder. A smart home installation service receipt from 7 months ago. Paid in full, listed under her name, but with one technician marked as lead installer. Derek Lang. So this wasn't just about emotional overreach anymore. This was a coordinated active project. Planned. Funded. Hidden. I knew what I had to do. I just didn't want to do it. I had to call her. So, after almost 2 weeks of silence, I texted my wife. "Need to talk." She responded in under a minute. "I'll be there." When she arrived, she looked thinner. Paler. But still with that same calm, composed face that once comforted me, now made my skin crawl. Josh gave us privacy. I sat on one side of the kitchen table. She sat on the other. I placed the photo in front of her without saying a word. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked it up. Where did you get this? I should be asking you that." Her lips parted like she wanted to speak but forgot how. Then she whispered, "I didn't take this. I swear." "I know. But someone did. Someone with access." She was silent. I leaned forward. "Who is Derek Lang?" She didn't react immediately, but the stillness in her eyes changed like glass cracking under pressure. Finally she spoke. "He works for the installation company. He helped us set everything up. Us. My mom and I." My stomach dropped. "Wait. Your mom was involved too." She blinked. Realized she said too much. But it was too late. "I thought it was just you and my mother." It started that way." She paused. "Your mom approached me after you started withdrawing last year. Said she was worried. Said you were hiding something. Said if I really loved you, I'd want to help." I stood up. My voice dropped cold. "So you all decided to spy on me?" "No," she cried, standing too. "It wasn't like that. At first it was just one camera. In the study. To make sure you were okay. Then the bedroom. Then the kitchen. Then the ceiling vents. I didn't want that many. It was your mom who..." She stopped herself again. "Who what?" I demanded. "Who pushed it further?" She sat back down, almost deflated. "She said you were acting like your father." Everything went still. My father. I barely remembered him. He left when I was 6. Or, that's what I was always told. That he was mentally unstable. That he disappeared. That he abandoned us. She said, my wife continued slowly, that your father used to do strange things. Hide in rooms. Stop answering the door. That he started hearing things. Paranoia, I said bitterly. She nodded. And she was terrified you were showing signs of the same thing. 1,000 pieces slammed into place in my head at once. My mother's constant watching. Her obsessive check-ins. Her way of softening every violation with the phrase, "It's for your own good." What if it wasn't just control? What if she genuinely believed I was broken? And worse, what if she needed me to be? My wife was crying now, real tears this time. I didn't know how deep it went. "I just wanted to keep you safe. But when we set everything up, Derek, he got weird." Weird how? He started emailing me, asking to check on the feed, saying things like, "I saw something strange at 3 a.m. Want me to send you the clip? I thought maybe he was just being helpful. Then one day, I came home early and found him on our porch. What? He said he was just making sure the system was functioning. But he looked off, and then he asked if you were home. I lied and said yes. He left. But I swear I felt like he was about to ask to come inside. I felt like ice. So he kept the access. She nodded. I asked your mom to have him removed from the system. She said she would. But I don't think she did. So what, now he's watching both of us? No, she whispered. Just you. Your mom asked him to watch only you. I stood there, hands shaking. My throat went dry. You need to leave, I said. What? Leave. I need time. Alone. But Please. She hesitated, then grabbed her bag and left in silence. When the door closed behind her, I collapsed to the floor. My whole life had become someone else's theater. That night I called my mother. She picked up on the first ring. Sweetheart, she said too brightly. Are you okay? Who is Derek Lang? A pause. Not long but enough. He's just a technician. No, he's not. Another pause. This one deeper. I needed help, she finally said. I couldn't do it alone. Do what exactly? Keep you from disappearing. Like your father. I could feel the wall cracking. You told me he left. She didn't answer. You told me he abandoned us. Another silence. And then she said something I'll never forget. He didn't leave. I had him committed. The floor dropped out from under me. What? She exhaled. He started behaving erratically, hearing voices, building traps around the house. He said people were spying on him. I couldn't speak. And now you're isolating, accusing everyone, running. I'm running, I said, barely a whisper, because I'm being watched. Just like he said. And suddenly I understood. This wasn't about love, or fear, or care. This was about history repeating itself and her trying to control the outcome. But maybe she couldn't tell the difference anymore between protecting me and punishing me for being like him. I ended the call without another word. Josh found me later on the couch staring at the wall. You okay? No. Wanna get out of town for a bit? I've got a cousin in Arizona. Quiet place. I nodded. I didn't know where I was going anymore, but I knew I couldn't stay. The drive to Arizona felt like slowly exhaling after years of holding my breath. Josh didn't ask many questions, which I appreciated. We drove mostly in silence, the desert creeping up on us in slow, sun-drenched stretches. Somewhere along the highway, I turned off my phone completely and tossed it into the glove compartment. Not because I was scared anymore, because I was done being reachable. We arrived at his cousin Marcus's cabin just before sunset. It was modest, buried in the edges of Sedona's red rocks, wrapped in silence so thick you could hear your own thoughts echo. I stayed in that cabin for 4 days. I read. I walked. I stared at nothing for hours. And then on the 5th night, I saw a familiar car parked at the edge of the dirt road. Black sedan. Tinted windows. Engine still running. First I thought it was paranoia again. I ducked behind a tree and watched. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Then he stepped out. Derek Lang. The man from the invoice. The one who'd installed the surveillance. The one I'd never met yet, who had seen more of my life than I had. He looked younger than I expected. Late 30s, short beard, plain polo. He held nothing. No tools. No phone. Just a folded piece of paper. I stepped out of the trees slowly. Derek, I said, and he flinched. He turned to me like he'd been caught stealing. Hey, he said awkwardly. Didn't think you'd be out here so quick. What are you doing here? He shrugged. I thought maybe you'd want answers. You thought wrong. He raised the paper. It's a system report. Last access log. Shows who's been watching what and when. I hesitated. I didn't trust him. But I needed to see it. He handed it to me. I unfolded it slowly, heart pounding. There were timestamps. IP addresses. Session durations. And there near the bottom one entry stood out. May 3rd, 20252:17 a.m. Remote view activated by M. Carlisle. I stared at the name. Carlisle. My mother. That was the night I left. She was watching. Until the very last second. You kept her access active, I said, teeth clenched. Derek nodded slowly. She paid me directly. Told me it was for emergency checks only. But then she changed the password behind my back. I lost admin rights. And you let it happen? He looked down. At first it didn't feel wrong. I thought I was helping. Then I saw what she was doing. What she was asking. It wasn't about your safety anymore. It was about control. I folded the paper. Why bring this to me now? He looked me dead in the eye. Because I've done a lot of SHT for money. But I never meant to ruin someone's life. A long silence passed. And then he said, she's the reason your father disappeared. My mouth went dry. You don't know that. I do. He reached into his back pocket and handed me something else. A thumb drive. There's audio files on here. From the old system backups. Before your mom locked me out. I kept them. Just in case. He walked back toward his car. Right before getting in, he turned to me one last time and said, whatever you decide to do, don't let someone else write your story. Then he was gone. That night, I sat at Marcus's ancient laptop and plugged in the drive. There were 12 audio clips. Most were mundane. Conversations between my wife and my mother in the kitchen. Talk about errands. Groceries. Then clip number 9. Date stamped 5 months ago. My mother's voice. We can't risk him finding out. Not like his father did. If he starts questioning too much, we'll lose him. My wife. Are you sure this is the right way? My mother. Would you rather he end up in a hospital? Like his father? Or worse? Click. That one broke something inside me. But clip 11 shattered it. My mother again. I made the right choice back then. He was spiraling. You didn't see it. I gave the doctors everything they needed to keep him. They said he could have gotten out. But I convinced them he was a threat. My wife. And what if he wasn't? My mother. It doesn't matter. He might have been. I stopped breathing. She had committed my father not because he was sick, but because she was afraid he might become sick. And now she had done the same thing to me in a digital way. Different tools. Same fear. Same betrayal. The next morning I called her. She answered, voice cautious. Sweetheart. I know what you did, I said calmly. There was no confusion. She didn't even ask what I meant. I did it for you. No, I replied. You did it for control. Because you were afraid. You thought history would repeat itself, so you forced it to. A long pause. Where are you? She asked. Not where you can reach. I don't want to lose you. You already did. I hung up. In the weeks that followed, I made peace with silence. I didn't return to the house. I didn't respond to the emails. I wrote a public post not to shame them, not to retaliate but to reclaim my voice. I told my story, as it happened. No drama, no exaggeration, just truth. It reached more people than I ever expected. Some called me brave. Some called me paranoid. Some said I was overreacting. Others said I was too forgiving. But none of them had to live inside the skin that had been watched, monitored, reduced to footage. Only I did. 1 year later. I live in a small apartment in Oregon now. I write freelance. I sleep with my laptop closed and my phone wrapped in tin foil, not because I'm afraid, but because I choose when to open myself to the world. My wife and I divorced quietly. She apologized. Sincerely. But the damage ran too deep. And some fences can't be mended when the ground beneath them is poisoned. My mother still sends postcards. I don't respond. Sometimes healing isn't about reconnecting. It's about reclaiming space where your soul can breathe again. And sometimes the most radical act of love is leaving.